Yeah, man. So on this episode of Keep On Keeping On, we wanted to talk about self-talk. So the conversations we have with ourselves, how ruthless we can be with ourselves at times. And even when it comes to just rewarding ourselves or praising ourselves, we're more hesitant to do that. Like, it's very rare. You know, it's certain circumstances you feel really good and then you praise yourself, but majority of the time, like, at least I can speak for myself, a lot of the times you find yourself like in negative self-talk mode. And over the years, I've learned to limit that and change it even and understand what's true and what's wrong. Like, what's like a made-up belief, because it doesn't make sense. If you really go down into like the belief of what you're saying, sometimes you'll say things to yourself that just have no ground whatsoever, but it's in that moment you feel really bad. So it fits.
It just, it makes you feel like it's true. It makes
you feel like it's true.
Yeah.
And if you give your brain, and like, your brain's going to find the reasons, whatever you tell your brain, it's going to find the reasons to support your evidence, because it doesn't want to be wrong. Your brain doesn't want to seem like a liar. So it's going to find the resources or like the experiences that you've had that'll reinforce your beliefs. Like, whether that be like, I can't do anything right, your brain will find every example that's possibly happening in life.
You didn't do this today, or you didn't do that yesterday.
Or like a week ago you messed up here, or like 10 years ago you did that wrong, or like,
you see, you're lazy because you didn't do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of what our mind can do is, like, we can change the meaning at any moment, at any given time. And it's being conscious of when you're getting in those self-deprecating modes, and not take it seriously or like correct yourself. You know?
Yeah, right. Like, the main thing is acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't acknowledge that it's there, and you can't tell the difference, then you're stuck in that. You're lost in that limbo. And I feel like you see that a lot in everyday life. People don't even realize that negative self-talk. That it just feels they can't tell the difference. Yeah. It's just kind of like in their cycle 100%. Of life.
And unless they have good friends, nobody really checks it.
Exactly. And when you can't tell, or when you're not aware of something, it's like, it's like when you have this, like, you have a problem, right? Yeah. But if you can't even acknowledge the problem,
there's no problem.
There's
in
no
your mind, there's no
problem. For growth.
Solved. Yeah.
And that's so important. And then if you can acknowledge it, then you can kind of like take that step back and be like, why am I saying this? Why am I?
Or you can just check it or question it. Like, is this even really true? Like, am I actually lazy, or am I just having a lazy moment? You know,
right.
A lot of times we'll associate who we are with a temporary mood.
Or am I just tired?
Am I just exhausted? Whatever the case may be. Have I been working extremely hard the past 4 days, which is why I needed to sleep in till 10, 11. Like, it's not necessarily related to you being lazy, but your mind's just quick to be like, you're lazy.
Yeah, that's so true, because like your mind, it doesn't acknowledge all the things you're doing throughout the day. Yeah. It just acknowledges the one thing you're not doing.
Or like in the moment, it'll make a base judgment, and then like you'll base that judgment on yourself without even realizing or questioning it, whether it's accurate or not. It'll just be like, I'm lazy, and then you'll be like, if you really question it, do you have lazy moments? Yes, everybody has lazy moments, whether they like to admit it or not. But do you also have highly productive moments? Right?
Yeah.
You do. Everybody has highly productive moments. Yeah. But it's like choosing that narrative. How do you want it to be? Do you want it to be, like, I'm lazy? Do you want to believe it? Do you want to fall into that pattern? Do you want to change it and be like, I'm highly productive, I'm just having a lazy moment? Or if it goes into your moods, like, it's hell when we associate our emotions to who we are, and not to say, there's a lot of people that are medically depressed, and they go through those things, and chemically there's an imbalance. But a lot of the times when you just label yourself that way, and you don't give yourself a fair shot, you can start falling into those patterns, and that can change. You can see how that can change the quality of your life if you just associate an emotion as your permanent identity. I'm a depressive person. Like, imagine just, you keep repeating that to yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever you say I am, and you add after that, it becomes reality.
And that's what's kind of scary. What I've noticed just on social media, I feel like it's become so. There's one thing to be like vocal and vulnerable, right? And talk about what our feelings, right? I feel like what we're doing right now.
100%.
But then there's that other line that I've seen on social media where everybody wants to say, like, it's like almost cool to say that I'm lazy, I'm depressed, like life sucks. Like that's the norm, to
like just that
negative beat down on just the everyday life. And that's something I've noticed.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people, but I think what it is what we talked about before is a lot of people don't check it. They don't question it. They don't even analyze it. Like,
it's almost comforting to just be that way,
because misery loves company. So when, how do you gain the most amount of attention? When you start complaining. It's harder to be like, no, actually things are pretty good, or this is what I'm working towards, or it's easier to say like
get better.
Yeah, or things can get better.
It's more comforting to just
easier to just be like, yo, like things are so bad right now.
Like, life sucks. Don't even worry about it.
Because what happens, you'll have people that'll comfort you, and it'll become like you'll feel reassured in a negative way, of like negative mannerisms that are not really productive to you. At the end of the day, like everyone who's listening, you have your own journey, you have your own path, whether what we're saying resonates with you or not. But it becomes like, you got to question, like, is what I'm doing productive to what I want out of life? Right? So like, and that goes into like, who do we talk to the most? Ourselves. Now, is that a kind person? Is that a mean person? Like, why wouldn't you want this place to be a nice place to be and be an uplifting place to be? Because when you go out into the world, you're already going to have people that are going to hate on you, or judge you, or discourage you. So
and what are you projecting out into the world?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So like, if you're already going in with that energy that's not productive, and then you're susceptible to everybody else's judgment, critique, and all of those things, you're not going to be able to attack what you want at the same pace as you would if you were like, I'm good here. Like, I know who I am. I'm confident. I'm sure. And again, this is a muscle that you have to practice. Yeah. It's not something that'll come easy. Like, it'll be, you'll do it for 2 days, and then the third day, like, something crazy happens in life, and all of a sudden you fall back into that. I'm lazy, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't feel like doing this, whatever. I'm depressed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and you fall back into those patterns. But it's a muscle. So it's like, when those feelings arise, if you can just consciously check yourself, like, hey, I'm falling into this pattern. Let me question, why I'm feeling this way. Is this actually true?
Yeah. The first step is literally just acknowledging it.
Exactly. Like you said.
Acknowledging it. I feel like I've been in that loop where I've had like toxic behaviors or toxic, self-talk, habits. Yeah. Right. And it wasn't until when there's a period in my life that I was up in Orlando for a couple months. COVID hit. I came back home, whole different thing. But in that time period, I was by myself. Like, I knew nobody there. I knew nothing, I had a roommate, but he was always out, gone, doing his thing. He was super busy. So, like, I was alone with myself all day, every day. Yeah. Like, if I went out, I'd go out by myself. It's something that was extremely hard.
Yeah, of course.
But it was something that I told myself, you got to do it. Yeah. And being in that present moment with myself, having that mindfulness of just me and my own thoughts, I learned to kind of just understand myself more. Yeah. I started understanding certain negative, habits that I had about myself, or like when I think of negative things, allowing myself to get in that loophole. But I learned to actually sit, it's hard to explain, but I literally 100%. Was thinking about it. I was like, these are just thoughts. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah. The anxiety.
It's so simple, but it's future, yeah. And I was like, wait a second. And I just started taking a step back. I was alone a lot. So I started meditating a little bit more. Yeah. I was like, this is the most privacy I'm going to have. Might as well do it. And going out by myself, going out eating by myself, right? Going to the movies. This little simple things. If you haven't done that before,
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. People are looking at me, right? I'm going to the movie theater by yourself. Yeah. And then at a certain point, I was like, who cares?
It's actually really liberating to do that.
It's so nice.
Because, and I'll make a point here is because I went through something similar, but just as I was growing older, living in an Indian household, it's a lot more stricter when it's in terms of going out or hanging out or this, that, and the other. So a lot of times I was going to school and I was coming back home, and a lot of times, me being the older child, and I had a younger cousin, but there were a lot of moments by yourself. Sometimes cousin was doing, his homework or something else. There's a lot of moments where you're just by yourself, like you said, with your thoughts, when you get to really learn about yourself. And a lot of people don't get the chance to just experience loneliness because they just keep jumping from people to people to people to people, and because it's frightening in the beginning.
Yeah,
like you said, going to eat by yourself, going to the movies by yourself. It's another muscle that you have to activate.
No.
And until you do that, it's a very scary thing because you're constantly thinking what other people are thinking. And I think being in a place where your opinion matters the most and that you know best for yourself is like the healthiest place to be, because that'll help you choose whether that friendship is because you actually want to be friends with them or you're just scared of being alone, or relationship, whether you actually want to be with that person or you're just afraid of what it's like not being with that person.
And it leads you down that, and then
you constantly, you
never
get to work
maybe,
on yourself.
Yeah, and you're with people you shouldn't be with, 100%. And then you don't realize the behaviors because you're just so focused on.
Or you just justify the behaviors as this is normal. Like,
just because
but my friends, they're my buddies.
Because
and you don't know if it's helping you or it's productive, and if you could lose years on your dreams and your goals just by not checking yourself and being up here and having the correct self-talk.
And sometimes the best way is being by yourself, like just
100%
spending. In my case, in different scenarios, it was spending a day by myself. Yeah, like literally going to Walmart, getting some stuff, going to the store, going to the movies. From the movies, I ate somewhere by myself. Yep. And it was very, like what you said, liberating. It was very nice. Yeah. I felt so like at peace because, and I learned this in the 7 Laws of Spiritual Success. I don't know if you heard of that book.
I've heard of the book.
Great book.
I haven't read it.
And one of the keys of those 7 was mindfulness, but just to yourself. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and meditate, but like going for a walk outside, just going for a walk, but not doing anything, just by yourself. Like not running, not listening to music, not focused on something else, just going out, whether it's you can sit outside, still, just relax and take in the sun, but also just being present, noticing everything, and
100%.
That brings such a peace to your body and mind. It sounds so simple, but literally go outside and sit outside for 30 minutes, especially
by yourself with your thoughts,
and you'll notice how you just kind of relax and relax. And I was doing that for a period of a couple months, and then I would go out by myself, which was nerve-wracking, but then I started meeting people, and I was like, man, and it built such a confidence of being comfortable in my own skin.
Oh, yeah.
So now I don't have as much those little social anxieties of, I feel like I should, or like, maybe I should just leave or whatever. And it's those things that we kind of have to go through, but like it helps a great deal, or even with that self-talk, man. Like this is what I wanted to tell you. This last couple weeks at work, I was working overtime just to get some extra money, whatever. I had extra time. So I was working overtime while doing full-time classes.
Right.
And then I just got an internship for one of my classes for the film festival coming up.
Right.
So it's been great, but it's also been very busy. And I felt so overwhelmed, right? Mm-hmm. I was working, which I told you, one of the days I was working like a little over 12-hour shifts, multiple days. I was up early and then out super late while getting a podcast done.
Multiple podcasts.
Multiple.
Too, by the way.
Multiple podcasts, or preparing to direct a new short film for school, while also doing this internship, while also trying to still go to the gym and maintain like
working on yourself,
relationships with family. Like, when I'm home, I'm like, I'm here, and it was so overwhelming and so exhausting. Right. And the only thing that my brain could pick up was, you didn't go to the gym today. Yeah. You didn't go to the gym today. Yeah. And I wasn't able to go to the gym. I didn't go to the gym for probably like a week. Yeah. And I just got back in and now, and I feel great. So, and it was, you didn't get up early. You could have gone to the gym in the morning. Yeah. And my brain was just pounding that on me every day. And because when I work out, I feel great. I feel at my best. The rest of the day is fine, right? It's therapeutic.
Of course.
So when I don't do it, it's just like, you feel sluggish. You feel, and that was the one thing. I could working overtime, still getting two podcasts uploaded, right? 2 podcasts uploaded. I can still be doing the internship. I got a script done for a short film. I can have all those things done.
But your mind's not even acknowledging that.
Mine is not even acknowledging.
Like you're lazy for waking up late. Or you
didn't wake up early. You missed the gym again. Look at you. You haven't gone to the gym for a week.
Meanwhile, you're sleeping like 3 or 4 hours just to get everything done.
That was my brain. Not, hey, you're tired. You're going through a rough, a busy patch right now. Because you chose to get that overtime, 100%. Get this done, and to challenge yourself.
It's a bigger goal.
And my brain was only able to be like, you didn't go to the gym.
Yeah.
Every day. You didn't, like, every day was killing me. I was like, oh my God, I haven't been to the gym in like 4 days. What am I going to do? Yeah. Like, I feel like crap. Like, that's all my brain can acknowledge. And the one thing that helped me was, it was in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m, right? I had just finished editing the things that I don't acknowledge, right? I finished homework. Yeah. I didn't even add in their homework.
Right.
4 classes, all this homework.
Full school.
Editing class, yeah. And I didn't even acknowledge that. So I'm trying to get that done and this and that. My brain was exploding.
Right.
And one night I finished everything. I did my homework. I had one of our podcasts edited. And like for the cruising stuff was looking good. I had that ready. And I was like, I opened up my journal because I have a journal that I try to journal in every day. Or I journal every day. I'm not going to say try. And I had to just write down a schedule of the week.
Yeah.
And on the left side, I just put Monday through Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on the right side, I put to-dos.
Yeah.
And I put cruising podcast, KOKO podcast.
Right.
Working out.
Yep.
School.
Right.
Work. Journaling.
Yeah.
Reading 15 minutes. Just things that I know I need to do. And I just started filling it each day. So what are my givens? I work these days out of the week at these times. What's another given? I have class on these days.
These times, yeah.
Okay. And then by priority, I was like, okay, when is KOKO podcast due? Sundays. Fill that in,
yeah.
Cruising podcast. I'd like a podcast on Thursdays. And okay, what days can I fill that, there's a trailer out or extra content? Okay, these days. And then working out, when can I fill that in? Okay, 12 p.m.
Yeah.
12 p.m.
Yeah.
On this day, I'll take that day off.
Yeah.
If it's too busy.
Yep.
But I have these other 5 days.
Plug it in, yeah.
And everything just started filling. What time can I wake up? Because the challenge of me with waking up, going to sleep.
Yep.
Looking at that schedule, I was like, what's a good time for me to go to bed and wake up realistically?
It's really smart.
Realistically, right? With how I work. I was like, okay, the latest I can go to sleep is 2. I can wake up at 10:30.
Yeah.
And I get my 8 hours. I wake up at 10:30. That gives me an hour. I can journal. I can read for 15 minutes.
Yep. Knock something out.
I'm out the door by 11:30. I do my 12 o'clock class.
Boom.
From there, it's whether I'm going to work at 3:45 usually.
Yeah.
I go to, I have some time to do homework, whatever the case, go to work. Or if I have the day off.
Extra work, extra time to do everything else.
Extra time for everything else. Yeah. Or if it's a busy day where I have an internship in the morning, there's times I have internship in the morning, afternoon, then I have to go straight to class at 5, from 5 to 8.
Yep.
Okay, that's a day for that.
Boom.
I won't work out that day because I have those two things. But
it's set.
When I get home at 8, I can either edit, I have time for extra content, whatever. Oh, 100%. On top of that, the streaming, cruising streaming for Twitch.
Right.
That was another thing I filled in that I was like, okay, I'll leave that for Sundays. I'll leave it at once a week for now.
Yeah.
And that's how jam-packed it is that I used to stream 3 days out of the week. Now it's only 1 because of everything else. I had to kind of layer it by
100%.
What's most important. And when I did that, just literally writing down the week, writing down my to-dos, and filling in the blanks. That's all it was.
It's actually genius.
And my God, since then I just felt so much better.
You're doing stuff,
so much better in the sense of now I kind of have an idea of what my week looks like, not just playing it by ear, not 100%. Just playing it day by day, wondering, getting home at 3 a.m. and be like, I got to wake up at 9 a.m. to go to the gym, right? As opposed to being like, wait, what day is tomorrow? I get up at 10:30 and I could do the 12, stick with the 12. Don't try to force yourself. Just get your rest because sleep is just as important.
Very important.
And so liberating.
Very important.
So liberating, because when you see all that stuff down on paper,
you see that it makes a lot of work.
It makes it so much simpler.
Yeah.
Because even though it seems like a lot, right? Yeah. Or it is a lot, but your brain overwhelms you and it makes it seem like this thing that's unsolvable.
Yep.
And when you just a simple aspect of writing it down, you're like, oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Now I know, okay, Tuesdays, I'm pretty busy. I don't have to work out that day. That's my off day.
Yeah.
But I have all these other 4 or 5 days.
100%.
And that helped my self-talk, because then I was like, oh.
You can't make the case
my
for
brain,
being, lazy or not working.
Right.
And you'll just be like, no, actually, I'm doing this, and that.
And it helped
like checking it.
Yes. And it helped my brain kind of just be like, oh, like you're just kind of being overwhelmed for no reason.
Yeah.
Or you just need to structure yourself.
100%.
And then it made me feel better. I've been going to the gym, 12 p.m., getting up at 10:30. Today, actually, it's crazy how your brain picks up on routine already.
Right.
But, I put my latest to go to bed. I get my, notification to start going to sleep at 2 for 10:30. And getting up at 10:30, going to the 12 o'clock class, whatever I got to do. 12 o'clock class, whatever I got to do. And today, funnily enough, my brain, I woke up earlier without the alarm. And I was like, I was so confused. I was like, oh, shit. And that was actually kind of cool. I slept a little bit more. I was like, get your rest. Don't get, And then I woke up like at 9:40, 9:50. I was getting.
Right.
But for me to wake up at that time before, I felt like it was impossible because of my schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's so crazy because.
It's strange, yeah.
And now that self-talk it's fading. Of you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Now I'm getting things done. Now I feel I'm like caught up on homework.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been going to the gym again, like, at a good pace.
Yeah.
I've been drinking my gallon because, the challenge for the gym. I've been a couple of days drinking my full gallon, getting that, just knocking down. And I've been, like what you said, crossing those things out.
Boom.
On my journal.
Boom. Yeah.
So for the next day, like, I want to do these things because of my schedule. I just knock it down.
Knock it out.
And
it's awesome.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
So, like, for anybody that feels that way, or to challenge that self-talk, or just write down your to-dos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's 7 days in a week.
Or even, 100%.
Fill it in.
Fill it in.
It's as simple as that. It's
100%.
so crazy.
100%.
So crazy,
And even then, like, I'd encourage people to, like, in terms of self-talk, if I were to ask you, like, who do you love, right? How long or how many names would it take before you get to yourself?
So
how many names before you just, say, yeah, I love myself? Or like, how many times are you willing to do the things like what are things you do for somebody that you love? How many times are you willing to do the same things for yourself?
Yeah. You have a significant other. You want to spoil them. How often do you spoil yourself? Take yourself out to eat.
Exactly. Treat yourself. When you do something right, reward yourself. So you reinforce like the good, like like you said, now that you've written things down, if that thought like, oh, I'm being lazy or thing comes up, that's not true because you're knocking things out day by day. And if you need that rest for a little bit, you can take it because okay, at this time, I'm doing this. So like you're combating your self-talk by putting in action in a positive way, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just dive head first into the negative self-talk. Oh, I'm lazy. I guess I'm lazy.
Yeah.
And then that's a destructive pattern that carries on.
It leads to the sabotage. Because when I was going through that, what I was telling you, I was eating whatever. And it was almost like emotional eating. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
I'll get home from work. I'll get home from work late at night.
I feel like eating bad right now.
I wasn't even hungry, but it was just comforting.
Yeah.
Because I was stressed. I was getting a twitch on my right eye.
Damn.
From just the constant day to day. I was like, how can I organize all this?
100%.
Yeah. And I would get home and I'll snack on something or something, and it's like that comfort food.
Yep.
And it was just from that.
Yeah.
And it leads down that self-sabotage in a way.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like
100%.
I'm not doing this,
at
and
least
you start doing bad habits.
At least you have the awareness of like, I'm self-sabotaging right now. Some people don't even realize that until it's like way down the line.
Years later.
And you're like, 100 pounds overweight or, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And you just have this narrative built of yourself that may not be true.
Yeah.
But because you've accepted it as fact, it becomes a thing you have to constantly prove to yourself that you're right.
Yeah.
If I'm a lazy was like or I'm a procrastinator or I'm, whatever you attach to yourself or you talk to yourself or however you say it, like you can check it before it gets detrimental. At least just check it if it's true. Like a lot of times, like, okay, maybe you had a bad stretch of just being lazy or being a procrastinator, but like be like, you know what? I'm going to switch because I want more out of life. Like your past, whatever's happened in your past does not have to equal your future unless you live in your past.
Yes.
So if you constantly are reminding yourself of things that have gone bad, things that will, or you don't even want to put in the effort because things will continue to go bad because things have gone bad. Like you can't can't have that viewpoint. You got to be like, you're worth more, you deserve more, and you can actually do more if you just believe in yourself, your dreams, your goals. So many people just go through their day-to-day and they just accept their day-to-day as their day-to-day. Like, and they never, like, this is it. Like, okay, now I'm 47 and I've got kids and I've got to provide and I'm doing this. But, like, I have this dream of maybe public speaking or whatever, being an artist. But then you don't find that time to, and it's hard. Maybe it's once a week. Maybe it's twice a week. But if you don't even have that time to, or you don't even make the time, I should say, you don't even make the time to take that hour from like a Wednesday and like, I'm going to focus on my art or I'm going to focus on speaking or I'm going to focus on, whatever it may be. Yeah. Regardless of your age, regardless of your circumstances, it's possible if you give yourself the chance or if you believe in it.
Yeah.
If you believe in yourself, if you believe in your dream, if you believe in your skills or your talent. And not everybody's born talented, but you can harness talent by just putting in the work, getting skilled. If you want to be a musician, working on your voice, making sure you can hit vocals, these are skills.
Yeah.
If you're an artist, like just practicing art or, if you want to public speak, it's like getting in front of people and speaking. Because until you do that, you're not going to know what public speaking is like, So giving yourself that self-talk switch from like, it's, what's the point of me even trying to like, it's possible if I put in the work, or you're the master of your fate, or, you decide your circumstances. If you change the narrative from like just letting life happen to you to like it's happening for you and you can make it whatever you want to make it. Obviously life happens, things happen, things deter you. You're always being guided to the right moments. But unless you put in the effort to create something for yourself or your life or even just a better quality on a day-to-day in your mind, it's not going to happen.
It's just as simple, taking that first step.
It's that
right?
step.
That first step, because then once you complete that one little thing, then you're like, okay, what else can I do?
You build momentum.
And that's it. And you're
then
moving.
even if you just expose yourself to a week of just being in a healthy mind frame, you're not going to want to go back to a unhealthy mind frame. Because you'll see, like, if you're constantly leading from an unhealthy mind frame where you're constantly frustrated or angry about yourself, it shows in other areas also. You might go out to dinner with your friends and everybody's, laughing, having a good time, but you're not having the same experience because you're in your head. Or even worse, you're around your family and you have an outlash or
short fuse,
or you just explode just because of the frustrations of, not checking your self-talk. And, beating yourself up more and more and more. And then that shows into like, God forbid you have kids and you're putting that on your kids,
And then,
your parents and everybody else, they can handle it. They're grown. But like when you have your kids that are coming up and they're growing up and, they're modeling you because they model you more off your actions than what you say.
Yeah.
If you tell your kid, stay off your phone, but you're on your phone all day, guess what they're doing? They're going to be on their phone all day.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get my kid to stop using my phone or stop using the phone more?
Yeah.
Just make it a non-negotiable that it's just not like every time they see you, you just don't have a phone. You have a book, maybe you're, doing something else, you're creating or building something, just don't have a phone. They'll model what you do rather than, and if you're not mentally, this is why it's so important to have a healthy self-talk.
Yeah.
Because if you train yourself to have a negative self-talk and you say it and you say those things to your kid or you project it to somebody else,
then they're going to grow and have those same habits, and it's habits they don't even know that they have. They just think this is it. This is.
Exactly. Their self-talk becomes like, this is all I've known.
It's crazy. That's very common. Anywhere. At the workplace, I've seen it, or anywhere where some people don't even know to like step back for a second and realize like, wait, hey, like
question it, yeah.
Like this is my situation. This is my, because when I just talk to different people, I usually try to, and then you realize there's certain people you talk to and you're like, oh wait, you don't, like, we're not on the same page. Yeah. Like you don't see the
There's
world
a discrepancy.
The same. Yeah, like you don't get it, because you can have this conversation right now to someone, they're gonna be like, whatever, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure there's
some people that listen and they're like, you know what, it's easy for them to say, or
it's weird, whatever, it's like, interesting, like
they're lucky, or this, that, and the other, like.
And it's like that comfort of like, oh no, this is it, so I don't have to like challenge. The responsibility. It's
like the saying that they say, like, you'll have strangers will support you more than the people that you've always known. Is because the people that have always known you are surprised you've made it so far when you guys came from the same place, and maybe they haven't, or whatever, the envy or jealousy or whatever the case is. But it's that discrepancy.
Yeah, it's like.
It's that thing me and you talked about, like and this is a little deviating from topic, but like when you see somebody do something well and you compare your life to them and you ask questions to yourself, and it's not an envy, but it's like a comparison. It's like, what if you were your highest self? How would you view that accomplishment for somebody else?
You'd be like, welcome.
You'd be like, yo, that's amazing. Like, I love it for you. You're doing a great job. Keep at it.
Yeah.
Versus if you're not, and then you have the reinforcing self-talk that's like, you're not where you want to be. You're, whatever it can be.
Yeah.
And you look at somebody else's accomplishment and you're like, lucky guy.
Yeah.
Or, easy for that person.
I hate it. Yeah. That was like a perfect, like, acting.
Yeah.
Lucky guy.
Lucky guy. You know what I mean?
That's the exact dismissal of it.
It's just that, like, it must be easy for that person, or whatever the case is. And then you take away your ability to even have the opportunity to create that for yourself.
Yeah.
Because, like, what that person did is an indication that you can also do if you mimic the blueprint. Success leaves clues. Whatever you want to achieve in life, somebody's already done it. There's a pattern. There's a process. It's better if you learn from their process so you can learn from their mistakes and not make the same mistakes.
Yeah.
So what took them maybe 20 years takes you maybe 5 years or 10 years, to create, to build, whatever you want to be, whether you want to be an artist, whether you want to be, it just takes the mindset that, like, I can do it, instead of just always checking yourself like, I can't do it, that's not for me.
It's easier.
That's easier for somebody else. I can't do that. That person's skilled. That person's super talented. He was born that way.
Yeah, born that way. That's the big one.
And, like, bro, you look at most of the people that have made it self-made, they weren't born with it. They came from the worst of the worst situations that they should have never made it out of even.
Yeah.
You look at somebody like Oprah's story. You look at somebody like who was abused and constantly told, even that you're not fit enough for media. Finally getting an opportunity on a channel, and then that turning into her own show.
No.
Or her being fired from a channel and then her getting an opportunity somewhere else. Like, if you look at, like, that's why I feel like it's so important to sometimes look at people's stories that have made it, that have done the things you want to do, because you'll learn that it wasn't always easy for them. And if you apply the same process, or even if you just change your mindset to, like, instead of I'll try it, to, like, no, I'm going to do it and see what happens.
So true,
Just
man.
give yourself because when you say try, you give yourself that, well, I tried.
Yeah, like this. I probably
of, like, hey,
failed.
I did it. Yeah. It didn't work out, but it guided me to another direction, or I'm doing something else, or because of I did it, I made it.
Yeah.
Everybody can make it. Just it depends on, the effort you put in, whether you have, you're following the right mentors, the community around you is. But yeah, whether you have an empowering community or you have a community that disempowers you or laughs at your goals. Like, hey, I want to be a comedian that has a Netflix special. Like, haha, you can't do that. What are you talking about? You never make us laugh, or whatever it is.
You're not funny.
You're not funny. Yeah. Like, who do you think you are? And then you start allowing that to creep in, which is why it's so important to spend time with yourself so you can learn yourself and you can have that inner confidence, like you were saying earlier. Because if you don't have it, you'll believe what somebody else has to say. You know what I mean?
And you feel like you have to, like, prove yourself to them.
Exactly.
I think we talked about this on the last episode about that push-ups example. Like, you know, like, oh, you can't do 20 push-ups. Yeah. A person that's confident in themselves is gonna be like, okay, I don't have to prove it to you. And then a person who's insecure or doesn't feel confident in themselves are gonna be like, yeah, I can. Look, I'll do it right now. Yeah. And it's just that 100%. That's the perfect example of.
Dude, it's like if I were to tell you, yo, you got a purple face. You know you don't have a purple face. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're going to be like, this guy's crazy. What is he talking about? Yeah. You know what I mean? But if I were to target an insecurity, it might hit you a little different. You know? So when you're trying to accomplish, like, let's say a comedian example, right? You want to be a comedian. Somebody's like, you're not funny. You start like, am I funny? Am I not? Versus if you have that positive self-talk, like, no, I'll show you.
Or to you, maybe.
Or to you, yeah.
Yeah, to you. Maybe. Yeah.
Because, bro, every single comedian's not funny to everybody.
Yeah.
You can go through any comedian special, anything on YouTube, go through the comments. Somebody's like, yo, this is trash. You'll have 100 people that say, yo, like, this is amazing, excellent, like, I loved it. Or they quote a joke. And then you have that one person like, oh, this is overrated. Yeah. Okay. To you.
And that's what I really like about, I like listening to Gary Vee. Yeah. Like we were talking about. He's like in his 40s and he has this energy. And I have that thing that you subscribe to where he texts you just like a positive quote for the day or for the week or whatever. And he just sends like a little paragraph, just something positive. Yeah. And there's days that I'm having a rough day or something. I'm like, all right, thank you.
No, it was Gary Vee's funny because there was this one video I remember watching of his, and the guy walked up to his car and he's like, yo, like, say something motivating. And Gary Vee's like, you're gonna die. Like, that's it. Like, you have this one life, you're gonna die. Like, make the most out of it. You know? That was the message that was trying to put. Quick. Like, quick. But it's such a drastic way of saying it, but that people don't think about it that way. You know, we take a lot of things for granted. We think of, you know, we just think time is time and we'll have time or whatever the case is. We don't appreciate the day for what it is. And
that's the perfect. You're gonna die. That's it.
It's gonna happen. So why not do things you want to do, bro? Like, if you're working at a job and like you're like, no, I got to keep working, bro. Like, if you were to, God forbid, something happen to you tomorrow, they'll replace your job the following week. There's no sympathy there. There's no, because it's a system that needs to still operate and do what's best for them. And you fit into that system in the way that you fit into it. So it's more, you know, some people have to people have to go work. You have to build, you know, it's not a, you know, it's not like, oh, it's easy for you to say, but like, I have to go, you know, do my thing because I have to support my kid or whatever the case is. Yeah, you can do that. You have to do that. But then there is time where either you spend that watching Narcos, all episodes of Narcos, or like Ozark or whatever on Netflix that you could be spending on, hey, I want to be an artist. I want to be a comedian. Let me write some jokes down. Let me go find that 15-minute improv at the local Hard Rock or, you know, wherever, and go do a set. You know, it takes that self-talk to be like, I can do that versus, you know, you are already, I can't do that. I have to go work. I have a kid. It's not possible for me anymore. Easy to say that.
And then it just
easy to say that.
Follows along.
And then that's it. And you turn 65, 70, your kid's grown up, gone to college, they're off. You look back on your life and you're like, I'm not doing, or I'm not where I want to be, or I never took that chance. They're full of this regret. It's easier to be like, I took the chance, it didn't work out, but it guided me somewhere else, than it is to be like,
I always feel like those people who tried and felt like it didn't work out for them, when they look back, they're like, oh, I see why.
I gave it a shot.
And they kind of understand it looking back. Like, I tried, I see where it led me. Yeah.
And you know? Let me just be clear. Like, if you absolutely commit yourself to something, it won't be it didn't work out. It just won't. Because if you absolutely commit yourself to mastery in any sort of, the thing is, people aren't willing to commit that time to mastery. Whether it takes to become a filmmaker. No. Even if that's, you know, studying like cinematography, you know, studying, there's an art behind. Yeah. And even a science behind filmmaking.
Definitely.
You know? And so if you can study it, you can do it. And then obviously, as the more you do it, the more it becomes natural, the more you add your twist to it. You know, obviously some people who are talented, the process becomes shorter. But even if you have zero talent, like if I were to tomorrow be like, I want to be a filmmaker, there's a process I can follow to become a director. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It's the thing people aren't willing to put in the process. It's why am I not? And especially with social media, when you can get a like at the, touch of a button, you can get instant gratification like super quickly.
Yeah.
It's harder for you to see the long game in your goal, your dream. And it's easier to, it's not for me, or, that time for me is gone, or, I can't, I'm even our age. There's people our age that have had such creative, colorful dreams that are now stuck in a workplace environment. Well, not in a sense that they're stuck, but in their mind, they're stuck.
Yeah.
They're like, that's it. There's not, like, I can't pursue that anymore. I can't be an artist. I can't, do this.
It's like time to grow up,
It's time to grow up. Now I have to focus on different things. You look at a doctor, bro. You look at a doctor's life, a study life, which is like 10 years. Imagine if you put in 10 years to becoming a creative, to becoming if you put in the same amount of work. Doctors, I have some of my best friends are doctors. They put in hours studying day and night, late nights, because they have to cram for the test. That's the next day, whatever. Imagine if you put forth, but what are they getting out of that? At the end, they're like, it's a guaranteed job. At the end of 10 years, I have something. What if you approach your goals the same way? Those 10,000 hours, 10 years, I'm going to give it to my goal. If it doesn't pan out, I'm going to be better for it because I've learned in the experience.
And
but if you put in that process, it's going to happen.
And who knows what'll stem from that? You know what I mean?
Bro, those 10 years can be 2 years if by chance you meet the right person at the right time, and all of a sudden in today's world with social media, you can just scale.
Yeah, the possibilities with social media now. You can. Everybody
can just do anything that they want to do.
The perfect example, when you look at YouTube and all this stuff for just filmmaking in general, anybody, you see people, they make a good video, they upload it, people love it, gets hundreds of thousands of views and likes, and you keep doing that, and you have a base, and you keep doing that a few times, you're getting sponsors, you're getting this. Next thing you know, you're this figure. You're at this level 100%. Where your life can change
100%
in a few years.
And a lot of times, like, our frustrations or anxiety about future, like, you can counteract that by just being present. Like, understanding even that's the same self-talk. Like, if you go like, it'll never work out, it's not going to happen for me, or I'm going to fail. If you just change that to like, who's seen the future? Nobody.
Or even just cutting it out and just doing it.
Yeah.
Because
action, like you said, that action of you writing things down, replace that anxiety of
just start.
I have to do these things.
Yeah, just start.
Because you took the action to write it down, it became easier. So, like, exactly, if you take that first step, you just do.
And deal with it later,
You start, like, for example, we're on a podcast. You start a podcast, it's going to be, maybe it won't be the best looking podcast, right? But you'll learn things.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is how YouTube works. This is how, my camera angle, this should be this. The lighting should be like this.
Yeah.
The mic wasn't, if it was like this, you can't hear me. If it was like this, you can hear me.
Yeah.
Like, you learn these things, and that process starts. Now there's momentum.
Yeah.
Now you're building towards something, and you can build towards anything you want in life, regardless of what your starting point is.
It's as long as you start. It's so important, because if you allow your brain to tell you, no, but you're not 100%. Ready, or that's not going to be. Man, you look at cruising podcast.
Yeah.
When you go to the early, because the other day I did this, I went to my early stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I never acknowledge it. Because my brain, your brain's never going to be like, wow, look how much you've grown. It's always just like, it's still not there. It's still not there.
Still not there, yeah.
But when I went back, dude, a year from now, and 2 years, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
The video format was just awful. I can say it because, like, I seen it. Of course. It's awful. I was like, I thought that was good at the time.
Yeah, exactly my point.
I thought that audio was good at the time. And just little by little, just changing things up. If I would have probably never started
100%
if I listened to myself thinking, I don't know how to start one. Or it's just like making a short film, a film.
Yeah.
I'm always like, but what if it's not good? Yeah. What if it's this? And then I just go and do it. Just film it, do it, and it usually kind of works out. And if it's bad, well, why was it bad? And you keep going.
That's it is, like, people get so obsessed about failure. Doubts killed more dreams than failure ever could. Because what happens? It's only a failure if you quit.
Yeah.
If you learn from the experience, you're better off for it.
Yeah.
And you could take that from any experience of your life, things you've already done in the past. your parents weren't like, yo, you've tried 10 times walking, now that's it. You know, this guy's not a walker.
Yeah, he's
somebody else is gonna walk. You know, it's no, you just keep going till you walk.
It's
you keep talking till you can talk. You know, it's those things that like they seem so simple and so like, oh, but that's, you know, when you're a kid, doesn't make sense when you're an adult. It's the same thing.
When you're a kid, you don't have that consciousness of like
what's real, what's not.
You know, you're just
your earliest dreams. Think of your earliest dreams of what you wanted to be when you were a little kid, whether that be an astronaut, this, that.
The craziest thing.
You didn't understand what that was. Now, when you've gotten older, you may not want to be an astronaut. But the point is, like, as a little kid, you had no idea of a reality. You had a spaceship toy. You wanted to go to the moon. That was it.
You just soaked in everything with nothing in that space of like doubt or to, you know, 100%. That conscious level. You just took everything in.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
You know? That's why kids, if you're funny, you're going to make them laugh. Yeah. If they're hungry, they're going to cry. Yeah. Like, it's super just.
And that's like, you should keep that mentality in your older years, I guess, is to keep that youthfulness, that curiosity about things, that passion, that not to get bogged down about like, obviously reality is here. That's just, you have responsibilities, different responsibilities now, different things you have to take care of. But to not lose that curiosity, that passion that you have when you're a kid and you're obsessed about something. You remember you're a kid, you're obsessed with dinosaurs. All you see is dinosaurs. Yeah. I want to watch every single show on dinosaurs. I want to get every single toy. Like, you're obsessed. Imagine if you were that obsessed about being a musician, about being a comedian, or you're investing. All you're doing is watching comedy movies, watching comedians, studying art, like the form of speaking, this, that, and the other, studying, like, there's different flows, there's like punchlines, there's callbacks, different aspects of comedy, But if you obsessed over it as like a little kid would, you're bound to be successful at it. It's just, you're gonna be the person that knows the most about it. So if you're the person that knows the most about it, you're gonna be sought after.
Yeah. It's
the so self-talk. It's telling yourself you can do it versus, what's in it for me.
Just slowly just bringing that self-talk down. Yeah. A little. It's like we said, like a muscle.
It's a muscle.
Little by little. If you just don't let it get to you, and just eventually, check it, and eventually it'll be so low that it just doesn't even impact you anymore. Like, you feel it, but
every time it arises, you'll question it, and that'll be the healthy way of going about it, because they're bound to show up. You still deal with it. I still deal with it. Those questions still come up, but it's checking it. It's like something comes up like, why would that work out? It's like, why wouldn't it work out? If you look back on things you've succeeded at in the past, if you've done the same thing in this scenario, it's bound to work out. If I give my all to making it happen, it absolutely must happen. You're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Versus you go like, I'll give it a shot. I'll try. I hope it'll work out. It's a different mentality that you're going in with. You know, sure. Versus what's even worse is like, can't do it, or why would it work out? Why should I even do it? Or what's the point? It's never going to work out for me. It's different.
That's crazy. It's so true, man. It's so true, because it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
It's just checking it and applying an action, That's and it. With me, with filming, which is the big one, I've always felt so hesitant in my earlier days to just film anything. Yeah. When I was young, I filmed whatever I wanted. Yeah. I thought I was I was so young. Yeah. I was filming these action scenes. I'll try to replicate these Michael Bay action scenes. Yeah. I had a fan in my room and I would throw papers, like copy paper, so that the paper was flying through the shot. And like we were shooting and like in the room, and it was like this whole action scene. Dude, and I didn't, with no sort of level of like, oh, is this bad? Like, I just did. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I was just trying to do what Michael Bay was doing at that time. And when I got older, it was, I don't know. And I went for a period of time where I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know. Like,
what if yourself out of
what if it's not good? What if it's not good? Until one day I was like, I got to just do it, right?
Do it.
I was like, well, what if it sucks? Or, and then when I just did it. And I was like, whatever. And I started editing it together. Yeah. And I started seeing the result of it. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Yeah. And I was like, wow.
Or I can use it this way, or maybe I can use it that way.
And just by doing it, and afterwards, it's a constant process of figuring it out. Like making movies is just about problem solving. Like, okay, figuring this out, figuring that out, and then when you're done, you're like, oh,
I like this.
Wow. Yeah. And then I face the same challenge again. The next one, I'm like, okay, I got to think of something. And then, but I know when I have something, I don't even think about, is it going to be better? Just go. Just do it. Because if I start thinking about it too much.
Which is interesting what you said. Like, the action part is once you do it and you can see that you've done it. Like, for example,
and it's not so bad.
And it's not so bad. You go into the second one, you're like, oh, how bad can it actually get?
I did this. Look at that.
I've done it already. I'm going to handle
That's
this.
That's what taught me that it's just in my head. And each time 100%. I did it, the more comfortable I got. I'm like, oh, I'm not so bad.
Yeah. Another thing about that is like it's stacking positive reinforcements.
Yeah.
So like when you say I'm lazy and then you constantly stack lazy moments, you're going to start to believe and resonate with I'm lazy even more. Versus, no, I'm not. I work hard, and then you got to stack hard working moments.
Yeah. And then when you work out, you're like, you see? And then the next day, you see, I did it again.
Waking up at like 4:30 to work out at 5. I did it.
Yeah.
I can do it again. I did it. I can do it again. Because if you can do it once, you can do it again. And that falls in all aspects of your life, you know? If you've done it as a little kid, you can do it again when you're older.
Yeah.
It's just about, you know, a lot of people are like, get caught into like the age and the number and everything. And they're like, at this age, I should be doing this. And then now this doesn't make any more sense.
Yeah, at this age, I should be a millionaire, influencer on a yacht.
Yeah, but what if you have to go back to ground zero to climb back up to get to 100? Let's say you were at 80. Now you have to go back to zero so you can get to 100. A lot of people are not going to be willing to take that risk. She's like, I'm not going to go back to zero. I'm at 80.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But going back to zero may propel you to 100.
You know?
So it's all about self-talk. And if your self-talk is not there, the best way to do it is just do it. Just change it. Question it. Check it. So then your self-talk can get better and you can promote a healthier lifestyle for yourself. And you'll start to see maybe the crowd isn't as good as you want, the people that you're around or the people that you're hanging out with, because they don't have the same mindset. And what you can do, there's two things that happen when you're with people that are at a lower level than you, or either mentally or whatever the case is. You can either inspire them to raise their standards or you fall down to their standards.
Yeah.
You know, there's only two things that can happen. And
because if you do neither, then you're not on the same page, and it's just like you're not on the same page.
Exactly. But by nature, for you to want to fit in with them, you're either going to tone it down or you're going to want to inspire them to come up with you.
Somebody's going to win that battle.
Somebody's going to win that battle.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
I think that's a great.
Yeah, man. That's a good note. Yeah, we really tackled self-talk today. It was great. We did.
I've really this has honestly been one of my favorite episodes so far that we've done. And I'm excited for you guys to hear it, and I hope you guys got the value out of it. And
guys.
Some more.
All right. That's episode 5. Keep on keeping on podcast. Email us on our email.
Yeah,
the KOKO
we're gonna do a Q&A at some point. We have to.
KOKO podcast at gmail.com. Send us suggestions, stories, questions, whatever.
We've already heard so many suggestions from so many people, and we've taken them into account. We're really excited about the future and really incorporating some of those ideas. So we hear you, and we want to incorporate more and more, and we'll start bringing people on.
Yes,
eventually.
We're excited. We got good things coming.
We got great things coming.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, thank you, sir, for watching, for listening.
Listening, all that.
To the next one.
Yep. Follow us on the gram. All the good stuff. Take care.
All right, guys.